So Namita was and is a Mumbai born brought up girl. I was somebody who was very clear about what I want to do. Internet had happened and we wanted to have a digital arm for the radio business. Again, I got an opportunity to launch that business for them. But at the same time, we didn't have the clarity or the vision that the leader had a lot of times actually, because maybe we are lower down in the rung, maybe we wouldn't even understand it if they tried to explain it to us at that point. In addition to adding value to customers life and bottom line, I think it's really important to find your happy place and to find your purpose with what you're doing. Please have a set of people you can talk to who will say the truth to you. You may not like it, it doesn't matter. Be objective. Second is micro breaks, right? Micro breaks are so important. You need to find out what works for you. Like if breathing, the breathing technique of 3 to 1 works for you, the box breathing works for you. If not, a weekend away with your family is what resets you. Actually, change, honestly, Snail, is the only constant. Change is absolutely the one thing that does not change. And most people don't expect that. We are chasing stability when we can be chasing flow.
Welcome to Soul Velocity, a space where stories move before strategies and voices carry truth before titles. Here we explore journeys of change, the moments that shape us, challenge us, and quietly redefine who we become. These are conversations about purpose, courage, learning, and alignment, shared by people who are not just creating impact but living it. So let's begin. In this special series, we are in conversation with the authors of Voices of Change, individuals whose journeys reflect courage, purpose, and lived transformation. Each episode explores the story behind the chapter and the voice behind the change. All right, let's begin with introducing the women behind the roles. You have worn many hats: corporate leader, entrepreneur, coach, TEDx speaker. But before all titles, Namita is here with us. So let's explore what more can we know about Namita's journey. So, Namita, first of all, thank you for being here with us and sharing your journey with us. You have played an important role when it comes to Voices of Change. As a book, as your chapter is the opening chapter of the book, and at the same time you also have your own series of books which is coming up, and we'll talk a lot more about it as well. And your concept of getting unstuck, but let's for now begin with the journey. So thank you once again for being here.
Thank you,
And
Sneha. Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
so tell us, Namita, who was Namita before all of these titles?
So, Namita was and is a Mumbai born brought up girl. I was somebody who was very clear about what I want to do. And like I've said before, since the time I was, I think, in seventh or sixth grade, like around 12 years, I was so sure that, okay, you know what, I'm going to work hard, top in my school, top in my studies, get as many degrees as I can, and finally get an MBA, work in corporate, and then be an entrepreneur. And before I turned life coach, that was my journey.
Interesting. You spoke about corporate. So your corporate roles were kind of entrepreneurial at heart, okay? Big 92.5 FM or 92.7 FM or Pantaloons. What did those early years teach you about, building, risk taking, ownership? What would you say?
You know, Snail, to be honest, I probably was one of the lucky ones when it comes to corporate exposure. My seniors at Big 92.7 FM, it was still my mentor, Tarun Katyal. people I worked with in Pantaloons, which was like my first job ever. Everyone probably saw an entrepreneurial spark and also gave me an opportunity to try my hand at launching new formats for them and new businesses for them. So it was a journey that grounded me and at the same time gave me, like, I would say, threw me in the deep end. It gave me so much exposure so quick, while at the same time, I was answerable for bottom line, I was answerable for customer happiness. And that, I think, became a very good foundation for me to then explore myself as an entrepreneur, which was always my goal.
Interesting. So as you said, you were still answerable to people. So was there a moment when you realized that I don't want to just work systems, I want to create them? Like, was there a moment, a journey?
Actually, I ended up being in situations where I was creating systems as I went along, even as a fresher. To give you an example, there was a concept that we launched when I was working at Pantaloons under the guidance of my senior. It's called Top 10. It's a college based brand where colleges are competing with each other for fashion, for getting ranked. It was the era of music countdowns and hence the name Top 10. Now, that is something I worked with them to conceptualize from scratch, right from the thought process, the brand, what will go in, what kind of merchandise, how will it be displayed, what will be the size of the store, all of that. And while certain systems existed, it required new systems to be built all the while. Similarly, in Big 92.7 FM, the term digital was just getting introduced. Internet had happened, and we wanted to have a digital arm for the radio business. Again, I got an opportunity to launch that business for them. So everything was being built from scratch. In fact, I remember we were the first station, one of the first stations to launch big mobile radio, where we leveraged language radio, right? So if you're sitting in Mumbai and you want to listen to Kolkata radio, you're sitting in Delhi and you want to listen to something from the south, we made that possible over telephone lines. And that was in working with the telecom. Now, it was a product that didn't exist, it was a system that didn't exist. Nobody knew how to deliver it. So we had an opportunity to create it from scratch and obviously an opportunity to generate revenue as well.
I can totally imagine. Like, I do remember that time, when these shifts and changes were kind of getting built. And if you're a part of the pioneer, I'm sure uh, it had more than just building a system. It was discovering things and figuring out and all of that as well, because there was no model before that. But you have scaled multiple ventures, whether it is organic foods or healthcare or coaching. Which part of entrepreneurship you think is rarely spoken about, but it's deeply lived?
So, Snehal, I went into entrepreneurship almost after, I'd say, 10, 12 years plus of being a corporate rookie and a corporate rat, if I may say so. Something that I was not expecting, but I know every entrepreneur faces but doesn't talk about is the loneliness.
Oh my God.
It's a lonely journey. The thing I would miss the most is the ability to brainstorm with my colleagues, with my peers, with my team. Putting different hats on was very exciting, but at the end of the day, it was just you. I mean, I had my father who would guide me from time to time, but he had his own work, so I could only reach out to him when he was available. So it's a lonely journey. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to build a network that they can reach out to as soon as they start deciding to be an entrepreneur.
True, very true, and I can very much relate to it, because uh, I think somewhere most entrepreneurs may or may not have a background of people at home or family who understand what business is. And in that journey, feeling alone or lonely because you don't know if anybody else will understand you kind of plays a big part of your life. And it does phase out into different phases, of course. But okay, coming back to you, during phases of growth, pressure, what are the quiet doubts you navigated through?
Doubts. Okay. So I'd say the foundation of any business, on what I believe till date, and I've always believed from the start, is one, you need to add value to your customer's life. And second is that the bottom line matters. So you can call me traditional. I may not be signing into the valuation game anytime soon, but for me, the bottom line and adding value to your customers has been the foundation of any business. And I always believe that it doesn't matter whether you're in organic food business, healthcare, you're in fashion, or you're in the radio business, these two things stay constant all throughout. Now, doubts and challenges arise on the people front. There are a lot of external factors in running any business, be it government, be it market forces. But the one thing which is a gamble and something that I have learned the hard way is people. Giving every person in your team a reason to wake up, show up, and put in their best. If you can crack that, I think that's one area that can really, really exponentially grow your business.
Agreed. Totally in agreement with everything that you're saying. uh, when we're talking about, people, and as you said, for us to grow understanding this, and we all go through doubts, we all go, or we kind of navigate through it. But was there ever a moment when, kind of, as an entrepreneur, I think we always keep hearing this, show up, no matter what, show up, you got to keep showing up. But was there ever a moment where you felt that I don't really have clarity at this moment, clarity feels absolutely absent, but action was still required?
All the time. All the time. So here, I'd like to draw attention of some of the leaders who hopefully are listening to this podcast. So at a point when I was answering to my seniors, many a times we were running towards a mini goal that was given to us, right? And that gave us momentum, and momentum gave us a little bit motivation as well. But at the same time, we didn't have the clarity or the vision that the leader had, a lot of times actually, because maybe we are lower down in the rung, maybe we wouldn't even understand it if they tried to explain it to us at that point, right? But that's something I learned from that experience, and that's something I have always imbibed in any team I have run, that we must share our vision and purpose with everyone in the team. It can just be the janitor. If you're running a physiotherapy center, why you need it to be clean and clutter free is important to the janitor as well. So I'd say that yes, a lot of times there was action to be done. Clarity was missing. We did it anyway. I think it would have been far more impactful if we had more clarity. And that's one of the steps that kind of kept moving me towards, okay, I need my own clarity before I take my next step.
It's in, it's interesting how you mentioned that each and every person who's involved in any business should be aware of what your vision and mission is, because that does bring in a huge difference, and it also brings a huge contribution, shift as well in the mindset. Because when I know that, okay, I do matter, okay, like you said, the janitor needs to know why things need to be clean. If I know, I think my absence matters and my presence matters, and that definitely changes the way how we operate as a unit and as a business. And of course, you have not only brought in these shifts in yourself and your teams, but you have been delivering this. Okay, the instant shift method, the clarity code, all of this has come from lived experience. Okay, so when you say, or what problem you're were you trying to solve when you started with the concept of first for yourself, is something I would like to know.
To be honest, I was battling burnout. I had moved according to my plan and moved quickly. By the time I was leading teams and I was the CEO, I'm sorry, my peers were um, heading teams, right? So I was moving fast, I was doing a lot. And even when I was an entrepreneur, you know how an entrepreneur's journey can be fairly taxing. So it was quick moving, high energy, all the time putting out fires. So at some point, I did feel a burnout and I did feel like letting it all go. And I let it go. I didn't know what I was going to do next. So, really, what I was solving for myself is the burnout. And the answer I found was in clarity and action. And clarity before action. And then action with clarity. Because both only work in conjunction, though either of them are pretty pointless without each other. So the whole get unstuck journey for me was about getting out of this rut of generally working 9 a.m. to whatever to suddenly doing nothing and not knowing what to do with my life. Because I had done everything that I had planned for the last whatever 30 years. Now what? And that's when I realized that the one thing I would add, if I have to add on something to, in terms of the foundation of running a good business that we talked about, in addition to adding value to customers' life and bottom line, I think it's really important to find your happy place and to find your purpose with what you're doing.
I was actually going to ask you that, purpose, or, the why we talk about. I think entrepreneurs, especially in the initial journey, and I think the initial journey is where a lot of clarity is required, but we are kind of still figuring it out. And that's why we all, most businesses do not survive the 18-month cycle as well. The first 18 months, it feels challenging, it feels too much, it feels overwhelming. And in all of that, figuring out, okay, what do I really really want, which way am I going? So and that of course leads to the fatigue, the burnout, as we say it, or the loss of why. So according to you, why do you think clarity, not motivation, is the real missing link?
So, Snehal, motivation actually can come to us from multiple sources. It can easily come from momentum. It comes from ideas. We have a fresh idea and we get very excited and we are motivated. Now, clarity actually is what sustains motivation, right? So that's why clarity is very, very important. And it's great if you have motivation, keep it going. But it's not going to take you very far unless you have the clarity of why and where you're going.
So, you know, like while we're talking about clarity, and that's something that you help a lot of individuals, especially entrepreneurs, get there. I want to kind of first deep dive into the burnout part, okay? Uh, because most of the times, as a new entrepreneur, hitting burnout sooner and faster keeps happening a lot. And most of the times, what I have observed is that burnout is generally taken as a feedback saying, I don't think I can do this, or maybe my idea is not worth it, or maybe what I was thinking was not right, so on and so forth, which is leading in the direction which is away from what your goal was and why you started as an entrepreneur. Again, it does come down to the why, but are there any tiny things that you can say to help, especially the initial journey, to not reach burnout sooner? or not reach burnout at all. So tiny things that a new entrepreneur can do to stay away from burnouts.
Yes. So, one of the first things I'd say is as soon as you decide to be an entrepreneur, build a network of people who will tell you what is required. Not the people you generally talk to, also necessarily, but the people outside of that circle who will objectively give you an answer. It's important because you're doing so many things as an entrepreneur and you're just moving ahead with your idea. Sometimes you could really be working on a bad idea, and sometimes you could just be facing a low or a burnout or a mini burnout kind of situation. So, yes, please have a set of people you can talk to who will say the truth to you. You may not like it, it doesn't matter. Be objective. Second is micro breaks, right? Micro breaks are so important. You need to find out what works for you. Like if breathing, the breathing technique of 3 to 1 works for you, the box breathing works for you. If not, a weekend away with your family is what resets you. Generally, entrepreneurs don't take breaks. I also didn't take one when I was an entrepreneur. There are no weekends, weekdays. If you're in the retail business, there are absolutely no breaks. Even on holidays, you're generally working. Very, very important to take these reset moments, take some breaks. It helps you look at what you're doing from a bird's eye view, like as if you're looking at a movie from an outside in perspective. And that can not only give you fresh ideas, but it'll help you fix what you are probably doing wrong. And you will be doing things wrong and right. And that's okay, as long as you're able to see what you're doing.
I loved that. For a really long time, I went with a concept where, and this is what I'd heard, and I was like, okay, an entrepreneur works every single day that ends with a Y, which is every day. But in that working every single day, and which I understand as a new business, you got to do. But I think if you're scheduling everything, rest has to be a part of that schedule too. Break has to be a part of that schedule too,
Yes, schedule your
for
breaks.
our
That's
own
perfect.
optimum you know levels of working. Like if you don't recharge your phone or charge your phone, it is not going to work. So how do we expect our bodies to do the same? Samita, you have grown and you now work with entrepreneurs, change makers globally. So has your definition for success changed over years?
My definition for personal success is the ikigai or purpose or the happy place. You can call it what you like. And my definition for entrepreneurs is customer happy, bottom line, and happy place. I stick with that.
I
I
love that.
stick by this.
But if in case clarity had a feeling, not a definition, okay, what would it feel like?
That's a tough one. I mean, to me, it feels like a warm sunshine and peace all put together.
Interesting. Um, what kind of change do you feel most called to create now? Because you see, if I'm looking at India as a country, we are moving a lot towards entrepreneurship. If you look at even our education system, we are kind of reevaluating that, and entrepreneurial mindset is something we have started cultivating at school levels. We have so many teenagers who are already into business, and they're really making it happen. So when we see all of this, and we have seen a world where entrepreneurship was not even entertained to that great extent. Okay, it was something that was kind of not looked up upon, especially when uh, it's new, it's something that's not defined. Like even coaching, for that matter, 10 years ago, India did not know what coaching was. Coach only came as a life coach who used to help you get out of water, and that was a concept we dealt with and explained at one point in time. So as you've seen these worlds shifting, they're shifting very fast. Gen Zs are taking over, Alpha generation is taking over. So, how are you looking at change, and what do you feel most called for?
So, actually, change, honestly, Snail, is the only constant. Change is absolutely the one thing that does not change. And most people don't expect that. We are chasing stability when we can be chasing flow. So instead of running towards getting that stable top line and stable bottom line, which is never going to be, there are seasons. Every business has a season. If you read Dhirubhai Ambani's book, it'll tell you the first 1,000 days will show you all the seasons. So change is something which is there. Now, when you accept that and then you go with the flow, is when it gets easier to move as an entrepreneur because you're already accepting it. But also, to add on more here, there are two things that I'm constantly working with for business leaders, for teenagers, for mothers, for um, parents also. One is respond, don't react. It's a very, very important personal concept that applies in every phase of your life, right? So, respond, don't react is the one important basal point that every single one of us can apply in personal and professional life, and it takes you a long way. Second is accepting and understanding that you can only change yourself.
Interesting.
Especially working with teenagers who are high strung because your hormones are everywhere, and entrepreneurs who are high strung because you are chasing a goal at top notch speed. You tend to expect the other people to move at your speed and do everything that you want. And why are people not doing what I'm asking them? And if you accept the reality that you can only change yourself, that's when it gets easier to accept people and understand their motivations better, because then you're going to think deeper. How do I get the output that I want, instead of just putting it out there and expecting it to happen?
Totally in agreement with you there. Um, you've kind of summarized it so beautifully. And I love the way, you're looking at creating this, okay? Before I move to kind of the last segment, of our conversation today, when you are working with entrepreneurs especially, and working from a coach perspective, uh, you have, as I said, the entire series of Getting Unstuck, and we do talk about, as a coach, a lot about, let me help you get unstuck. But what made you choose that as, one of the labels that you want to associate yourself with? Because your entire series is all about getting unstuck, and that is for different kind, as in, and you've been very niched about it. So when you're talking about entrepreneurs, when you're talking about young minds, when you're talking about leaders, and you have categorized it beautifully. But where did it all initiate from? Like, where did getting unstuck come or originate from?
So, it's about knowing your truth. And for me, getting unstuck was a big journey. When I started studying life coaching, it was a game changer for me personally, in my personal and professional life, getting to know what are my demons and getting out of there. And I truly believe you can only speak your truth. So, getting unstuck is my own life journey, and I can only share with you what I have, right? So, I can only truthfully speak to the experiences I have. And that's why getting unstuck is so personal to me.
I love that. Okay. This I like to call it as a soul signature question, because I feel it kind of stirs it at times. So I want to just go ahead and ask. So, what truth are you currently living into rather than teaching?
Okay, it may sound cliche, but for the longest time, I felt like I needed to look better to be accepted. And it's also a journey that I worked on for the past 2 years as I was working as a life coach and as I was learning life coaching as well. And by the end of it, I realized that it's not the size, it's the vibe.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so then let me take this a little further, okay? And that is one belief that you had to outgrow to lead better.
Trust yourself. As a corporate worker and as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife, one thing that one demon I'd say that crept into me frequently was self doubt.
Hmm.
So self doubt is something that's been my has had been my companion for a while, and I had to really work hard on myself to outgrow it. But I did realize at the end of it, you trust your truth and you'll do fine.
Yeah, I'm going to take a moment to deep dive a little bit here because you spoke about kind of the pain point of most entrepreneurs as well. Because I think self doubt creeps in many areas. So, whether it is about, say, asking for your worth and the cost, or whether it is about going ahead and saying, I'm amazing and my product is amazing. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you yourself, like as coaches, we are the product, but there are physical products as well. But somewhere this does keep creeping in at different junctures. Okay, so anything that you would like to say would be like a, like we say, red flags, where you start realizing that I am getting into this, and can I be aware, and rather than get deep into the valley and then rise up, can I build a bridge so that this journey of working always on yourself is easy and natural rather than hitting the rock bottom and going up, which happens most of the times. So anything you would like to say here for self-doubt?
Yes. So I'd say self doubt actually comes from lack of awareness and also of not knowing what's really happening. Every single person, thing, idea, prospect has a plus and a minus. So if you are okay and you teach yourself to look objectively at something, that okay, this is me, I am the product, here are my strengths and here are my challenges. Slowly self doubt will creep away because then if I clearly know these are the positives of this product, these are the negatives of this product, and I accept that. You must accept that there is a downside to every single thing. There's a positive, there's a negative. It's the rule of the universe. So if you're okay with that, then self doubt really, really comes down. But it takes work to accept. It takes some courage for you to say that, yeah, I am the best at this, but I may not be the best at this. Okay, I can try to learn, sure, I can improve my product by this much percentage, but that's all. So let me then use my product, service, or purpose to serve the people to whom I can help. And that's okay.
Interesting. Thank you for expanding on that. And Namita, it has been a very interesting conversation, and I myself have a lot of takeaways that I'm going to take as an entrepreneur here. Before we close and we say bye to the audience, is there anything that you want to say, give out as a message or a mantra that you want to share before we say bye?
Yeah, I'd like to share something that my dad always said to me, and I hope it helps. It really helps me. So the line is called "It's not the end of the world." Many, many, many times you're going to feel like, oh my God, I am done. This is done. It can never get better. This is the worst that has happened to me, but it's not the end of the world. You're breathing with your own nose. You're going to get up the next morning and you're going to do it all over again and with more clarity. So it's not the end of the world.
My God, I so love that, and I shall remember this because, yes, there are those moments where you do wonder and you do need that assurance. So, thank you once again, Amita, for being here. Guys, as most of you know, she is a part of Voices of Change. At the same time, her book series is mentioned in the section captions down there, so you can go ahead, click on it, and go ahead and access them as well. We hope you enjoyed the series and you're free to share your observations, your feedback, your reviews about everything that she's sharing as a comment to this video, or you can directly connect with Namita too. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Namita, once again for being here and being absolutely unfiltered about everything. So thank you.
Thanks, Nehal. You were very easy to talk to.
Thank you, thank you. And guys, please remember we all are born abundant. All we need to do is claim that abundance by taking one step at a time. I hope you've taken that one step today. If not, the day is not over yet. Take care.